Gentlemen, I'd like to call this City Council meeting to order, the El Centro City Council meeting for June the 6th, 2023. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Carter,
Present.
Councilmember Oliva,
Present.
Councilmember Garcia,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Marroquin, Mayor Cardenas Singh.
Present. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll please ask you to all rise. Please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by Police Chief Sawyer.
Please place the flag of our nation. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please, if you can remain standing as Council Member Sonia Carter leads us with an invocation.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you just asking for you to bless our children. As school comes to an end this week, we ask for you just to go into their minds, Lord, and just keep them revived for August and September, Lord, for them just to go forth, Lord. We're asking for you to bless the little ones all the way to the big ones, Lord. We're asking for you to bless the parents, bless the staffs, Lord. We're asking for you just to continue to protect and watch over everybody and protect everybody who is here. And we ask for the leadership. Bless our leadership, Lord, in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Chief Sawyer, for leading us with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Council Member Sonia Carter, thank you for those beautiful words. At this time, I'll move us along on our agenda, and this is the public comment section. This is a public meeting. If there's an item on the agenda on which you wish to be heard, you are asked to complete a blue speaker slip and submit it to the city clerk prior to the starting of the meeting. Persons wishing to address the council are not required to identify themselves. However, this information assists the mayor by ensuring that all persons wishing to address the council are recognized and also assists the city clerk in preparing the city council minutes. When the item is announced, your name will be called by the mayor. Please step up to the podium, state your name, and unless indicated by the mayor, you will be given a 3-minute limit. Let's see. However, you may not show a visual presentation without review of the material. If doing so, you will be considered out of order. Madam City Clerk, do we have any blue speaker slips?
None, Mayor.
And for just to double check, is there anyone remote?
No, nobody.
Wonderful. Then I'll move us on to presentations from our City Council. Item number 1, which is Teacher, Counselor, and Administrator of the Year. I want to share with you as our council, we thought it was important to take this opportunity to recognize the amazing educators here in the city of El Centro. We understand the responsibility that you bear in ensuring the future education of our students. And we wanted to take this opportunity to highlight you and to take the opportunity to thank you for the great work that you do. So with that, I'll go ahead and start with the presentations. All right. So just to give everyone a little clarity of how the Teacher of the Year, Counselor of the Year, and Administrator of the Year takes place. For example, the school counselor, school administrator, and school teacher, they were all recognized last month. School Administrator Joy Caesar was recognized by the Association of California School Administrators for the San Diego and Imperial County region and was selected as a State Administrator of the Year. This is just the 3rd time that such recognition has happened here in the Imperial Valley. So with that, I'd like to invite Ms. Joy Caesar, Director of Learning, Instruction, and Accountability, District Office of the El Centro Elementary School District, both a local, region, and state winner.
Go, Joy. Go, Joy. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, Joy.
Yes.
All right. And likewise with this recognition, Annabelle Alvarez, Counselor of the Year for Sunflower and Martin Luther King Junior Elementary. Is she present? She still deserves an applause. Lillian Vera, counselor for Wilson Junior High School. Absolutely. Great work. Congratulations. Teacher of the Year, Miss Renee Valenzuela, teacher at Harding Elementary School. You're gonna be busy today, Mr. Congratulations. Teacher of the Year, Dennis Borland, teacher at Wilson Junior High. Jason Sanchez, teacher at Kennedy Middle School. Congratulations.
Great, one more time.
Christina Gomez, teacher for Imperial Valley Homeschool Academy. All right. Special education teacher for Sunflower Elementary, Imperial County Office of Education classroom, Ms. Sylvia Baltazar. Teacher of the Year, David Rodriguez, Teacher of the Year for BT Washington Elementary School. And I'll go ahead and do Mr. Borland's again. I know on top of the many duties that you have. Congratulations, Mr. Borland, Teacher of the Year for Wilson. All right, we will take a group picture in just a minute, but I'd like to go ahead and bring it back to council just to have the opportunity to address the fine educators that we have in the city of El Centro.
I just want to congratulate every single last one of you. I'm super proud of your accomplishments, and I know personally what you can do, and I've seen it firsthand. So keep going, keep striving, keep pushing. Very proud of you.
Great, thank you.
To all of the educators, the teachers, the administrators, I know that every year that goes by, it just feels like another year, another routine, right? It's the close of another academic year. You look forward to the summer, but I envy you in that I look out to some of you like Mr. Borland, and I look at some others that look familiar to me when I was younger. And when I was in school, don't mean to call you out, but I'm just, but the point is that you get to see us, and hopefully we make you proud. And as the years go by, your students will go on and accomplish, and they're going to be a reflection of you and the knowledge that you instill, whether they understand it now or not. They will appreciate you, and you are touching the lives of the residents and the citizens that we look forward to leading us into the future. And so that responsibility lays on your shoulders. And so thank you for the work that you do. Keep going, as my colleague said. I know that it's very difficult. My mom's right here in the front, and she retired, when was it, Mom? Last June? Last June. And so I know that the struggle of an educator and what they go through and wanting to come home and just pull your hair out sometimes, right? But then there's those moments where you get through to a student and it makes it all worth it. So thank you for the work that you do. Congratulations on your achievement and for your recognition.
Congratulations to all of you and all the educators, administrators, counselors that were not recognized today for all of the hard work that you do. This is the time of year where parents unwillingly have to accept all of that you do because the kids are home now. I have 3 boys, and I'm already tired of them, and they're not even out of school yet. But they're more than happy to remind me how many hours and minutes until they're done with school. So thank you so much for dedicating all your time and effort to the education of our young ones. They're clearly our future, and you guys have the patience of saints to deal with them throughout the year, but now we get them for the summer. I think it's only appropriate that we issue Mr. Bornlin a referral for tardiness. As you guys have
Saturday school, Saturday
put the
school.
shoe on the other foot.
I'm done with your son.
But congratulations to all of you, and I hope you guys truly enjoy the summer and keep up the good work with all of our kids. They all love you so much. I hear about my kids' teachers constantly, and it's just so wonderful to meet all of you and to go through this journey of school with them, and to meet all of you and all the hard work and dedication that you guys put in, parent night and projects and everything. It's just it's a lot of dedication that goes into it. So thank you again.
Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate all of the recipients of these, wow, great recognitions that you just received this year. Excuse me. I work at a school, but even though I'm not a teacher, I see the efforts of all of the teachers, their positivity, their perseverance, their persistence with the students. And, I know how valuable you are to them. And so I just would like to say thank you to all of you for everything you do for the students in our communities. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I know you're busy. It's the last week of school, but we thought it was important as a council that we had that opportunity to congratulate you and thank you for the great work that you do. You provide a safe place for many individuals that don't have that at home. You provide them with a loving heart that they might not have at home, and you give them the opportunity to learn and to grow emotionally, and overall having that opportunity to feel loved, cared for, and appreciated. So with that, we thank you very much for being with us today. And this is the best part. If we can just please have everybody come up and if we can take a group picture. It's always so funny. It feels like 7th grade. The girls on one side, the boys on the other. Are they all facing the right, Joselito? Are they facing the right direction?
No. You tilt your blocks
Forward, just
forward.
for the glare.
For the glare,
Because
yes.
all the lights are reflecting with it and it's black. It's all black. Yeah, just tilt it forward.
Just a little.
All of you. Not the head. Yeah, that's good. Thank you so much.
All right, now I'd like to invite all the educators that are here in the room, so that includes administrators. Please, if we could do a group picture.
Thank you so much.
Was it
Yes.
Teacher. Oh, no. Just balance it out.
I think we need some,
On this side.
we need some girls on this side.
There we go.
Joselito, do we fit or do you need an extra chair?
You can ask him too.
Paparazzi.
Just look up here. Don't look at anybody else. That's
I know. Thank you so much.
Go, girl.
Wonderful, and the celebrations just continue today at this meeting. I love it. All right, moving us on with scheduled presentations. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and invite the Imperial Valley Social Justice, who will be sharing with us Juneteenth. Had a conversation with Miss Marlene, thought it was important that we share this great celebration with our community. We understand this is the third annual celebration, correct? And so we wanted to make sure that we understood the importance of Juneteenth and we understood the importance of the event that is open to our community.
There we go. Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. The Juneteenth has a great history. It goes back to early 1865. And in Imperial County, for decades, it has been celebrated, not to the extent that we have been doing in the past 3 to 5 years. So I'm going to just give you a little snippet of the historical part of Juneteenth, because a lot of people are unaware, and as even some of us that are going to be making a presentation.
Yes.
And also, again, I thank you for that. I'm privileged to stand before you today, and I'm going to read this because I put it together and I don't want to miss out on any factual points. I'm privileged to stand before you today to extend a cordial invitation to our upcoming celebration of Juneteenth that has evolved from a regional observance in Texas to a nationwide symbol of freedom and resilience for Black America. Juneteenth is also known as Freedom Day, Emancipation Day, and then to a lot of us, hey, it was the end of slavery. Again, on June the 19th, 1865, the United States Army troops arrived in Gallatin, Texas, to proclaim the emancipation of enslaved people. Notably, this occurred 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued. Please note this. We celebrate July the 4th, 1776. The Juneteenth, the day of emancipation, was 1865. So although we celebrate July the 4th, our people were still enslaved. They did not have freedom or the rights to vote or to take part in the American society. Texas recognized the profound historical significance of Juneteenth by declaring it a state holiday on January the 1st, 1980. Other states followed. I think approximately 7 to 8 other states in the United States proclaimed Juneteenth as a holiday. The federal government followed suit with President Joe Biden officially designated Juneteenth as a federal holiday, thereby echoing a commitment to acknowledging and learning from our shared past. The story of freedom is also symbolized in the majestic Statue of Liberty, a gift from France to the United States. This monument, the Statue of Liberty, was given to the United States of America as a gift for ending slavery. And that's a very important point because I did not learn that in school. I did not learn it in the history classes or anything. The Statue of Liberty was a gift from France for record for the United States finally abolishing slavery in America. Let me see here. Okay. The story of freedom is also symbolized in many states across our nation. Our upcoming Juneteenth celebration pays tribute to this journey and commemorates the struggles and triumphs of African Americans. It is a testament to the resilience and a recognition of their indelible contributions to making our nation. And we come together to this day not to commercialize. We do not want to commercialize. It's not about having a happy party or all these other things. It's more than that. It's about coming together, having conversations on voting rights, having conversations on economic security and things of that nature, which Ms. Lawson will talk a little bit about that herself. So anyway, I can't read my own typing or writing, but we will. The road is long and the challenges and challenging, but the collective determination and commitment are stronger, and we shall continue striving for a better future where the principles of fairness, equality, and respect are not just ideas, but are lived experience for all of us. Our celebration is coming up in a few weeks. We value your presence, your support, and participation as we come together to honor our shared history and look forward to our shared future. As I conclude, let us bear in mind that Juneteenth is not only for or about commemorating our past, but also about inspiring our actions for the future. And together, let us uphold the spirit of Juneteenth as we continue to strive for the community, our city, and the nation that is inclusive, equitable, and free. And the struggle continues, and those that are in the office as well, in the audience as well, please come out. It's not a Black thing, it's an American thing. And I think it's very important that the community in which you have demonstrated, Mayor Singh, come together. It's very important because I know if I needed your heart, I don't care what color you are, okay? Give me the heart. There's no menu for that. And we have to learn that as people and come together and work together. And like I said, share our shared history together. So at this time, Adrian, I have her nickname for her, but at this time, our Adrian Lawson, who has taken over, we've passed the phone to her. I will briefly give you a little tidbits of what's going to happen on 17th of this month, Juneteenth. But it's going to be awesome. I mean, really, it's going to be awesome. You got it.
Wonderful, great.
Well, my speech is not going to be as long as hers. My name's Adrian Dorsey Lawson. I'm the special events coordinator for Ivy Social Justice and for Juneteenth coordinator. Tammy Beasley sits on the committee. Linda Sharp is also a committee member. Great help all the time. Our event is Saturday, June 17th. I'm not gonna say the year because last week I said 2013, 2022, and every year but 23, and everybody laughed at me. So I'm just saying Saturday, June 17th, from 3 to 8 at the El Centro Community Center. Last year we had maybe about 10 vendors. We have grown to 28 vendors this year. How we're gonna fit everybody everywhere, I have no idea, but we're gonna be inside the community center and outside the community center. We have soul food vendors this year. We have 2 soul food vendors, so please come out if you want peach cobbler, barbecue, ribs, chicken, Cajun food, munchies will be there. We also have vendor booths. So IVC will be there if people want to go to school or apply for financial aid. Their nursing department's going to be there. If you want to have your blood pressure taken or any of that nature, medical, they will be there. Brown bag cookies, if you want to be fat and get 10 pounds on you, brown bag cookies will be there. Deborah Pollard, she's a woman that creates personalized shirts. If you want personalized shirts made, she will be there. Healing Rhythms is an African, they're African drummers. It's a husband and wife. Excellent. You have to hear it. It's just excellent, right? We also contacted Dr. Tacky from Centro, El Centro High School. They are going to be our DJ. Some of our students there will be the DJ this year. We also have the Polynesian dancers. We're having the Polynesian dancers out of Calexico and Heber.
Very nice.
We will also have the dragon dancers. Mayor, you were there to see them. They will be attending. Also, the Hawaiian dancer, she will be there. We're also having food, drinks, there's toys, there's things for the children to do. The first 100 kids will get free candy bags, free pencils, free chains, bracelets, trinkets. And so I'm asking everybody to come out and support us this year and every year, because we need to stick together as one. And remember that we're a community of El Centro. And I also want to recognize somebody that always helps me, always, like, I can text him, and that's Gus. Gus is there for Juneteenth. He was there last year. He worked hard. And so I told him, Gus, I want to hire you as my personal assistant because he was so good. And so he's on top of it. So Gus, I know he will be there this year to help us, but I just want to thank the city of El Centro also for allowing us to use the establishment, but also sending help when we needed to help us out. So thank you.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that information. Looking forward to it. I know as City of El Centro, we're always happy to partner, providing the opportunity for events and most importantly, to support nonprofit organizations. So with that, I'll go ahead and move on to item number 3, which is our Imperial Valley LGBT Resource Center. If I could please invite our director, Ms. Rosa Diaz.
Thank
Rosa.
you. Hi. Great to be here. Great to see you all. I do have a presentation, so let me see, how do I move this? Okay. All right. I guess I don't know how to work this. There we go. Thanks. Okay. All right. Well, I want to say that it's a pleasure to be here before you all. And I'm here to talk a little bit about the reason that we celebrate Pride Month, which is June. So we're going to start with the first slide. The purpose of Pride Month is to remember those who have gone before us, those who have fought for equality, and also to celebrate the triumphs in the past, the triumphs today, and the triumphs that are to come. Gays, lesbians, transvestites, transsexuals, and those who desire to live their lives without being criminalized were at the forefront of this battle. They put their lives in danger by existing as their true selves. Imagine how difficult it was for people to say, I'm gay, back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s. We've come a long way since June of 1969, when a few individuals decided to riot against police brutality and discrimination, which sparked a call to action for basic human rights. Being gay in the 60s meant that you could be arrested, you could be fired from your job, you could be removed from an office or position, you could lose your children in a divorce settlement, you could be considered insane. We've come a long ways only because there were a few brave warriors willing to stand up for LGBT rights. It is because of them that today there is an LGBT center in Imperial County, a center dedicated to help the community. In a few short years, the Imperial Valley LGBT Resource Center has filled its monthly calendar with activities to support individuals who give them direction and hope. We do this through individual and family counseling, support groups, substance abuse services, referrals, education, training, and events. In just a few short years, the Imperial Valley LGBT Resource Center has served over 10,000 individuals, many of who have come out of the closet because there is a center. What we stand for are for our values, our mission, and even our core values. Our mission is to create a safe place and empower the LGBT community by connecting them to essential resources. Our values are integrity, honesty, fairness, respect for all, no matter the race, age, political affiliation, you can underline that one, religion, underline that one, ethnicity, language, and status. We believe that all persons are created equal and should be treated with dignity and respect. Therefore, we commit to providing an equitable, diverse, and inclusive environment. We believe we are good stewards of our resources. We believe we are stronger together, and we believe all are entitled to be lifelong learners. But like any movement to function well, it has to have a system of checks and balances. The presumption that all LGBT people form a relatively uniform community is politicizing. Such movements like Gays Against Groomers, which stand against gender-affirming care for minors, and Drag Queen Story Hour is on the rise. The detransitioning movement began by those who regret having had reassignment surgeries and are now advocating for limiting access to medical transition services. If we are going to sincerely serve all in the LGBTQ community, we have to listen to all of the people all of the time. Just like we help those who need gender-affirming care, we also listen to those who have said, I don't want to do this anymore. Remember also that the pride flag can both be a uniter and a divider. So choose very carefully where you fly it. In celebration of Pride Month, the Imperial Valley LGBT Resource Center has 4 events. Our first one is on June 9th, this Friday, which is Queer Prom, and this is open to all queers and allies. We had a wonderful queer prom last year, where we had people in their senior years who never went to prom because they couldn't go with their partner. Well, they can come to this prom. I know I'm going. The next one is the pool splash. Last year, we had over 600 people who attended. This year, we expect that many. We will have a few dancers, a DJ, food, and resource tables. And also, we have an HIV presentation. Let's talk about sexual health. Let's talk about PrEP and PEP, which is something that still many of our doctors in Imperial County do not know about. PrEP and PEP can help a person from getting infected with HIV. We need to know that, our hospitals need to know that, our primary care physicians need to know that. We also have an ice cream social on the 23rd, so you are invited to attend. If you need more information, please go ahead and send me an email. Stand with the mission and the values of the Imperial Valley LGBT Resource Center. I know that as long as I am the CEO, that is what I'm going to stand for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rosa. Thank you so much for the valuable information. I know that the City of El Centro has partnered on many events and for many activities to ensure that we're providing the resources or the space or the venue to be able to support the services in the community. And I thank you for the great work that you do out of your center, but most importantly for making sure that the information is getting out and that you're providing a place where an individual can feel safe. I appreciate that, Rosa. Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor,
Yes?
before you proceed with the next item,
Yes.
we do need to announce what occurred in closed session. It's required by the Brown Act. I think we skipped it earlier.
Yes.
During the closed session, the council discussed a variety of matters. One of the matters discussed was whether or not the city should initiate litigation against LAFCO as a result of their moving forward with a negative declaration at the LAFCO meeting on May 25th. The instruction provided by the council was for us to move forward with that, which we will be doing. Obviously, before that occurs, we will try to work out our differences with LAFCO and others who may be involved.
Very well. All right, I was excited about our presentations. I apologize for being out of order on the agenda.
Oh, yep.
Thank you.
I think the presentations were way more interesting.
Sounds good. All right. With that, I'll go ahead and move us on to the consent agenda. At this time, council members or anyone of the public can take this opportunity to pull any item from the consent agenda. And if there is none, I would take a motion. Wonderful. At this time, motion was made by Councilmember Edgar Garcia, seconded by Councilmember Tomas Oliva. Please vote. Thank you. Consent agenda passes 5-0. Moving on to continued public hearing, item 8 on our agenda. This is the time and the place for the continued public hearing for the purpose of approving the engineer's report regarding Legacy Ranch Landscaping and Lighting District and authorizing the levy and the collection of assessments related thereto, commencing in fiscal year 2023-2024. Presentation by Director of Finance, Ms. Carla Chaparro.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. Today, the item that you have before you is the continued public hearing for the Legacy Ranch Landscape and Lighting District Assessment. And just to summarize what I presented last council meeting, this is the historical assessments for that district. I was recommending an assessment of $454.80, and that was a 75% increase. And just also to remind you of the actuals, the fund balance and the deficits that we've had the last 2 fiscal years. In 2021, we had an actual deficit of $53,453, and then fiscal year 2022, we had an actual deficit of $2,684, and then in 2023, projecting a deficit of $8,040. And then you requested that I present to you various scenarios, and so you could compare the effect that all the different assessments would have on the ending fund balance. And so each column here is a different scenario. If you look at scenario number 1, that is if we were to, it's a 0% increase, and that is if we were to have no increase and we were to leave the assessment as it is right now in fiscal year 2023. So that would be $259.88, and then $259.88 times 143 parcels, and then a $200 interest would give us revenues of $37,363. Expenditures are $53,000, and that would give us a deficit for that fiscal year of $15,637. Our beginning fund balance is $8,606. So then with that $15,000 deficit, that would give us an ending fund balance of $7,031. In scenario number 2, I'm presenting a 25% increase. So the $259.88 for this fiscal year would go up to $324.85. Once again, $324.85 times 143 parcels and $200 of interest would give us a revenue of $46,654. With expenditures of $53,000, that will give us a deficit of $6,346. So once again, with the beginning fund balance being $8,606, that would give us an ending fund balance of $2,260. And scenario number 3, it's a 50% increase. So the $259.88 would go to $389.82. And $389.82 times 143 parcels and $200 of interest would give us a revenues of $55,944. With expenditures of $53,000, we would have a small surplus of $2,944, and our fund balance would go from $8,606 to $11,550. And then scenario number 4 is what I had originally presented last council meeting, which was a 75% increase. And that would be $454.79 times 143 parcels and $200 of interest. It would give us revenues of $65,236, and then a surplus of $12,236. And then an ending fund balance of $20,842. So scenarios 3 and 4 are the only ones that would actually cover our expenditures for that fiscal year. The only difference is that in scenario number 3, because it's a smaller assessment, we would have a smaller surplus, meaning that our ending fund balance would be smaller than in scenario number 4. And that's it. So I'm here to get direction as to which scenario you would like to move forward with. Thank you.
Ms. Chaparro. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and open the public hearing. Are there any blue speaker slips or anyone remote that has any comments from the public?
None, Mayor.
All right. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to our city council. This is the opportunity if there's any questions or discussions by any of our city council members.
Madam Mayor.
Just look at you.
Yeah.
Council Member Oliva.
Well, it's because, for the public, I was the one that raised a question about this last time. And so I think that's why all the heat was this way right now. So this is where my mind is at, colleagues. If we were to consider raising 25%, that's an increase of 3 cents shy of $65, right? Keep in mind, this is a year for the general public, this per year. The funding balance would be at 2,260, right? And it would be ongoing, meaning with potential increased costs, that would be depleted within, 5 years or something. So what I was asking or considering is that understanding that in order for the fund balance to be somewhat healthy and not depleted, it would need to be somewhere between 50 and 75%, right? So we need to get there eventually. My question is, can we get there gradually? So year 1 would be perhaps a 30% increase. In year 2 would be another 30% where we'd get at a 60. So it would be the end fund balance would be somewhere between 11.5 and 20,000, right? It's just my rationale being is that, yes, it's $65 per year. We're talking about $100 and something per year, which is about $10 or so per month, right? For some families, that's just, it's difficult to ask for any increase because there's this, and we can look at this independently. But then sometime later in the agenda, we're not going to talk about potentially a trash rate increase. And then there's going to be an increase somewhere else. And then there's the lighting, right? It's not just this. It's this coupled with so many other things. So that's why I'm trying to be mindful of ballooning something in one instance. And what I'm asking is if we could just gradually get to that point. So that's my ask, just to agree on a percentage that we need to get to, and if we can get there in 2 years rather than one instant for folks.
Are you recommending certain percentages already at this time, or would you still like us to have some discussion and for you to think about what that formula would look like?
I would like to begin with a 30 and 30. And if there's any changes to that thought, I'm certainly open to it. But just, or even,
Break it softly.
35, 35, I don't know. I'm not necessarily married to the percentages per se, but just the concept of a gradual increase is really where my focus is.
Council members.
I'm fine making a motion for a 70% increase split up over 2 years, so 35, thereby keeping the ending fund balance in the black this year, and then increasing it for next year in order to have a healthier fund balance and increasing the revenues in order to capture and cover the expenditures that they'll be seeing the next 2 years. I think that's a gradual way of getting to where we need to get while still being mindful of the expenses that are being accumulated, making sure they're covered and making sure we don't end up in the red.
Okay.
All right.
I'll make a motion for that.
Thank you, Councilmember Garcia. Is there a second? All right. At this time, Motion was made by Councilmember Edgar Garcia, seconded by Councilmember Tomas Oliva. Please vote. Thank you. That item passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving us on to item number 9. Item number 9, public hearing to consider the approval of a rate increase for the collection, transportation, recycling, processing, and disposal of solid waste. Mr. Abraham Campos.
All right, good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. We're here for what is now back to our routine rate increase request for trash rates, the solid waste collection, recycling, and processing and disposal. You may recall prior years, this was the usual thing. Last year, we took a little bend in the process where we completely restated and revised the agreement. So with that, this is going to be a public hearing, just to bring that forward. We are proposing an increase to the trash rates that follows what was approved in Prop 218 process last year. So the rates, everything that I'm talking about here is consistent with what Prop 218 went through last year. As part of the contract, CRNR met the requirement to submit to the City of El Centro request for an increase on March 30th of 2023. When we received that request, it was sent to our consultant, HF&H, who does a review of that letter and makes a determination of whether it's adequate based on contract provisions. HF&H did review that, and on May 15, we received their recommendations for a rate increase. And HF&H does agree with the CRNR requirement, and with that, we proceeded to schedule a public hearing. That public hearing was set on May 26, 2023. A little clip from the newspaper is attached for your viewing. Now, just to give you a history on the rate increase, now that it's different than what we did last year, we go back to what's been done in the past. The adjustment factor for the rate increase is based on predetermined factors in the agreement: labor, fuel, equipment, insurance, tonnage, and each has a weight attached to them, and when combined, produce a percent. This is based on producer price indices, consumer price indices that I just mentioned. And when we looked at these, we came out with an interesting situation this year. As we all know, there's been quite a bit of inflation in the last year, right? So the rates that came out of those adjustment factors that I just mentioned, out of these factors, they added up for single family for a rate increase of 7.4, for roll-off box services of 8.4, and for roll-off box disposal, 5.7. Now, when we negotiated the agreement and we negotiated last year, the CRNR is bound to a maximum of 4%. In this case, it really paid off in favor of the city and the residents, where instead of coming in and requesting a 7% or 8% rate on different services, we're capped at the 4%, and that's per contract. So now, just to give you a history on the background, and right now we're asking for 92 cents per month for residents. This is as it relates to residents. You'll see quite a little spike that was more than the norm here. This is when we readjusted the contract and restated the contract to account for SB 1383. So now that we're starting back after 2022 and now in 2023 to set the fiscal year 2024 rates, we are back to the maximum 4% rate increase, in this case 92 cents per month. In general, it's been pretty flat. It's prior years, it was in the 1 point something range year to year. And you can see many years there from 2014 to 2017, it was flat, no increase. The rest are just tables that are in your agenda packet, explaining the rates for residential and the different services from what was existing on the left of the columns there and what's proposed in fiscal year to the right. And in bold is when you add up the used oil. So the rate is 23.87 for residential, right in the middle. But when you add 6 cents, which is down here, it gets tagged to those different rates. So I just wanted to be clear that residents will be seen in their bill 23.93. Although the rate is 23.87, when you add the 6 cents for used oil collection, it goes to 23.93. That's ongoing. It's always been like that since the contract started. But just for clarity, in case somebody sees their bill is 6 cents off. An apartment complex is the same idea. You have your rates for the different services depending on units, and you add the 6 cents in bold, and this is really what's happening, and so forth. Say on the commercial, here's the rates. Also, we're capped by the 4%. One thing I did want to point out is that for contract, we phased in over 2 years the commercial recycling. 2022, this rate was based on 37.5% of the refuse trash. That's how this number gets calculated. The $31, or actually the $15 used to be 37% of the $40. Now it's 75%. So it's $31 is 75% of the new $41. So folks on the commercial side will see on this portion of the bill a larger increase in the $15 or $40 for that specific service. And this was in an effort to phase in that cost going forward to the businesses. So in this time, this concludes that. There's no 100% of MSW. It stays at 75%. Everything else is 4%. Same here on the proposed 2024 rates. These are 4% higher than last year's. And there's a variety of other services as well, for temporary bin services, bulky item picks, and so forth. Everything just goes back up by the 4%. The theme here is 4% across the board. So with that, I'd like to open the public hearing, or request to open the public hearing, hear public comments regarding the proposed rate schedule. And after listening to those public comments, we're recommending approval of the resolution authorizing a 4% increase as stated here. Any
Right.
questions?
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and open the public hearing. Madam City Clerk, do we have any blue speaker slips, or do we have anyone online that would like to
None, Mayor.
speak on behalf of this item? Right. With that, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to council. If you have questions or discussions on this item.
I do, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I apologize and thank you, colleagues, for enduring my questions. So I remember once we had a senior citizen, a female senior citizen that came in and talked about her trash service. And I think the point of her story was that because she lived alone, she did not consume or create as much trash that required a weekly pickup. And I want to say I remember someone mentioned that it's possible to request a smaller container, and that smaller container would yield for her to be able to fill it up, but also a less monthly cost. Am I remembering that correctly? Is that something that is offered?
That was requested. It's not offered here. It's exactly the same work to pick up a smaller container than a larger one. The same truck, there's no separate truck or smaller truck with a lesser route that would go. So cost-wise, it's the same route. They would be picking up a 90-gallon, then a 60-gallon, then back to a 90-gallon as the rest of the city. So there's no cost savings there that can be provided by CRNR. Logistically, it doesn't function. However, there was a discussion of a discount for seniors. And we have started on that, and it's still ongoing. It's been a year right now since we've been looking at that. But it's something that we want to continue to explore. It does present some complications on just implementing. And then that's what we're working through right now, to offer potentially a 10% senior discount program. I think that's what was discussed in the last meeting. So it would be 10% out of the $22 in the bill, which is about $2. So most water bills, combined water, sewer, and trash, let's say they add up around $120 a month, more or less. So this would be reality a $2 discount on the, because it's 10% on the trash service, so from 140 to 138. It's something that can be offered. The impact is probably not as great as one would wish.
In the grand scheme of things, colleagues, like 4%, the actual amount, the increment is not a lot, right? Considering what we just voted on
Yeah.
for a lighting thing. But I am mindful of seniors, and I know that we've talked about a discount for seniors, specifically folks on fixed incomes. And that is something that I would like to see implemented finally, whether or not, like, I'm looking at the bill and I'm being very thankful of the fact that I can afford it, right? Not everyone can say that, right? But even if I was able to pay an extra dollar or two so that someone who is struggling with it can be able to afford that, I'm cool with it too. We've talked about so many other approaches to be able to help specifically seniors, right? That was the focus. And so I just really would like to make sure that we solidify that sooner rather than later because of all the things that you mentioned, inflation, right? Economic woes, high interest rates and mortgage rates and all sorts of things. And so wherever we can have some level of relief for folks, please, right?
Definitely. I'll bring it back to city manager and city attorney, see how we can revisit that.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right. So at this time, I would like to open the floor if there is a motion to be made on the 4%. As far as the public is concerned, we were talking about 92 cents,
Correct.
right? Is what we're looking at.
Per month.
Per month, I apologize, per month.
For single family residents.
Single, yes, thank you.
Not bad.
Don't everybody yell jump at once.
Yeah.
All right.
That's not bad.
Motion was made by Councilmember Sonia Carter, seconded by myself. And motion passes 5-0.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Under new business, this is item number 10, budget workshop fiscal year 2024 general fund. Ms. Carla Chaparro, Director of Finance.
Hello again. The item before you is the general fund budget workshop for fiscal year 2024. I'm going into revenue projections. Our revenue projections overall equal 34,000 for fiscal year 2024, equal 34,478,668. Budget 2023, it was 33,730,450. So that's an increase of 11%. For major revenue sources, is sales tax, MVL in lieu, property tax, and TOT. Those are, for the most part, like going up 1, 2, 3, 4%. TOT, we have been very pleasantly surprised with, actually. We've seen a lot of increase there. So from fiscal year 2020 to fiscal year 2021, we saw a 19% increase. And then from 21 to 22, a 13% increase. And then right now we are projecting to go over what we had budgeted as revenue. So we've seen an increase in revenue. And for that reason, I increased it by 13%. And then focusing on the other ones that have a negative percentage, like building related fees. The building related fees went down because we have seen a slowdown in building permits, the revenue that we're collecting for building permits. I know when COVID was happening, a lot of people were at home and they were doing a lot of remodeling, a lot of construction. So we saw an increase right away. And now it's beginning to cool down and slow down. So we're beginning to go back to our normal levels, which is why you see that decrease of 6%. And then service charges, I'm seeing a reduction also in within that category. We have court enforcement fees, day camp fees, MBN fees, and power department fees. And those fees, we're seeing a decrease in revenue. So for that reason, I brought it down by 6%. And then fines and other revenue. So that one is made up of or part of that, or within that category, we have our operating transfer ins. And that is gas tax, our gas tax revenues that go into our Fund 201 actually go in as a transfer into our general fund. And for the last few fiscal years, we've been budgeting more than what we have actually been receiving. So then at the end of the fiscal year, we have to do an adjustment where we reimburse the gas tax fund. So then I just brought it down to the levels that we're actually receiving instead of budgeting for a higher level. So that's why it went up by 3%. And then on this slide, you'll see our revenue sources by percentage. Our biggest revenue source, as you can see, looking at this pie chart, is our sales tax. It's almost half of our sales tax and our revenue at 48%. And then after that, we have our MBL and U tax, which is 15%, and then property tax 12%, and TOT 7%, and then the smaller ones. And going to our expenditures. So as a summary, our expenditures for fiscal year 2024 are made up of 78% of those are made up of salaries, benefits, and overtime, and then supplies and services 20%, and then capital is 2%. Last year, just to give you a little bit historical, that 78% was 77%, so it actually went up by 1%, and that 20% was 18%, so it went up by 2%, and then the capital was 5%, so that went down. So looking at our expenditures by department, you are going to see increases due to the fact that there's a salary and benefit increases due to the MOUs, and then there's also inflation, so our supplies and services are going up. So almost every department is having some type of increase. The general government, it has a 14% increase because within that category, we have 9 divisions more that are also going up like about 2% more or less. So if you combine them all together, that's why you see that 14% increase. Fire is going up by 10% because they have a significant increase in salaries and benefits of $713,720, and then supplies and services going up by $98,000, and there's no decrease in capital to offset. So other departments have like that same increase, but then they have a decrease somewhere else, and this one doesn't have any decrease to offset. So you see that increase. And in engineering, you see a 10% decrease because last fiscal year we had to budget temporary salaries, which we normally don't do. But due to an employee being on extended leave, we had to budget for that. We no longer have to do that for fiscal year 2024. And in building, you see an increase of 11%, and that is due to the increase in salaries and benefits of one position that is being proposed for fiscal year 2024. And then in planning, you see a 44% increase, and that's due to a grant that was received for transportation improvements in the amount of $300,000. And then in parks, you see a 4% decrease, and that's due to the last year they had capital outlay requests of $205,800, and this year they have none. So that's why you see that small decrease. And then blight elimination, you see 14%, and that's I had to increase temporary salaries because we had been under budgeting in that division. And then Valley Center Point, you see an increase of 14%. I had to increase electricity due to that we were under budgeting there as well. So going into our fund balance, our beginning fund balance as of July 1st, 2023 is projected to be $22,641,553. Our projected revenues are $34,478,668, and then our expenditures are $38,514,068. So based on the projections, we'll have a deficit of $4,035,400, and that's going to bring down our fund balance to $18,606,153, of which $10,977,110 is designated. 15% is designated for economic unknowns, so that's $5.7 million, and then our accrued liability of $2.2 million, and our vehicle major equipment replacement of $3 million. So that leaves 7,629,043 for undesignated or unreserved. And then this slide just shows the historical fund balance. Starting in fiscal year 2020, we have seen our fund balance increase gradually, 13.1 million, 18.2, 21.4, and then in fiscal year 2023, 22.6 million. And in fiscal year 2024, based on our budget, it would go down to 18.6 million. So additional programs and services, these are like items that are like big ticket items, I guess you can say. Our liability and property insurance actually went up by a lot. Last fiscal year, that was 1.4 million, and it is now 1.7 million. We have our janitorial and landscaping services for the skate park at 31,000. We have our library janitorial services for 51,400. And this year we have a new item, which is a library director contract, and that's 175,000. And then janitorial services for the adult center, PO Pavilion, and community center at 51,000. Our legal professional services went up from 370,000 to 400. Our IVRMA annual dues went from 77,500 to 97,000, so we saw a big increase there. Our lighting costs are going up in all the divisions, and here electricity is going up. So this one specifically went from 405,000 to 420,000. Then we have our janitorial and landscaping services for all the different parks that sums up to 465,000. Our aquatic center operational expenditures went from 1.1 million last year to 1.3 million this year. And then we have our police explorer program for 20,000, and then our volunteer program for 15,000. Our LAFCO dues went from 164,000 to 173,000, and then we have our yearly contributions, so 5,000. So going into capital outlay, the total request that we received from all departments was 3.4 million. We are recommending for this budget, fiscal year 2024, 758,999. So in information technology, they requested 3 servers for a total of 33,228. We're recommending the full amount. Facility maintenance requested a copy machine and shelves, toolboxes, a roll-up door, and office chairs at 26,500. And we're recommending 25,000. There was a small adjustment in one of the line items that we had to do. And then police requested patrol vehicles, 4 patrol vehicles, general service vehicles, 3, computers, 3, computer software, and 3 entry tools, 10, and then rifle sights, 24. That was a total of 711,500. We're recommending 2 patrol vehicles, 1 general service vehicle, 1 computer, and then the rifle sights for a total of 310,500. Communications, they requested 12 radios and some backup batteries for a total of 115,930. We're recommending the full amount. Fire requested a total of $2.2 million. Ladder trucks, parking lot overlays, turnout ensembles, boots, pressure washer and stand, a NARC box, gear washer, replacement inserts, and so on. It's a breathing system, gas monitors, commercial reverse osmosis system, computers, a fit test machine, airbag 4-stage filter pack, and a replacement of fire station radio equipment. So the amount that we're recommending is 150,925, and that is the parking lot overlay repair project, the heater pressure washer, the cold pressure washer and stand, the NARC box, Unimac structural gear, ballistic armor replacement inserts, breathing systems, gas monitors, commercial reverse osmosis system, and one of the computers. Or 2, I'm sorry. And Moving on to street maintenance, they requested a message board, 1/3 of the cost would be to the general fund, and then safety cones and barricades, and then tools for 5,000, and then a loader, skid steer loader, 1/4 of the cost, 20,000. We're recommending, the message board and the loader for 29,500. And then buildings was requesting a desk, and we're recommending the desk. Planning was requesting a vehicle, we're recommending the vehicle. Parks was requesting a crew cab truck with service bed, and we're not recommending that. Community center was recommending requesting 5 computers and 2 workstations, and then 4 chairs for a total of 18,300. We're recommending the full amount. The youth center was requesting security cameras for 16,000. We're recommending that. The aquatic center was requesting emergency pump room equipment for 56,500. We're not recommending that. A sports pavilion was requesting security cameras for 15,000. We're recommending that. Economic development is requesting a copy machine for 9,000. We're recommending the item as well. So moving on to personnel requests, these are new positions. So there was 11 new positions requested, and the total cost for those 11 positions was 1,245,199. Here is a listing of a summary of all the different positions that were requested. So HR was requesting a risk management analysis 1. Facility maintenance was requesting a building maintenance mechanic 1. Police was requesting a commander, 3 police officers, 1 lieutenant, a crime analyst, evidence technician, and civilian supervisor, and then building was requesting a building inspector. So like I said, the grand total for those requests would have been 1,245,199. What we're recommending is a total of 2 positions, and the cost for those 2 positions would be 191,139. And these are the recommended positions. In police, a civilian supervisor, the cost for that would be in salaries and benefits, 103,702. And then in building regulation, a building inspector, and the cost for that would be 87,437 for a total of 191,139. So moving on to reclassifications requests. So there was a total of 4 reclassifications requested. That's a five actually. The total cost is 51,303. And in facility maintenance, they're requesting to reclassify 2 custodian 1s to custodian 2s. In police, they're requesting a records clerk 1 to be reclassified to a clerk 2. In recreation and community center, that position is funded half and half. They were requesting to reclassify a staff assistant to an executive assistant. And in the adult center, they wanted to reclassify the adult center coordinator from a G6 to a G10. So the sum for all those reclassifications is 51,303. So what's being recommended are 4 reclassifications, and the cost for those 4 reclassifications is 42,872. And here are the recommended reclassifications. The facility maintenance reclassification from custodian 1 to custodian 2. Recreation and community center reclassifying the staff assistant to executive assistant, and the adult center reclassifying the adult center coordinator from a G6 to a G10. And once again, the cost would be 42,872. And just going into the challenges for the new fiscal year, we are seeing approximately a 5 to 6% increase in base salary due to the approved MOUs that they were approved last fiscal year. And it's made up of a 2% COLA and then a step increase. In the supplies and services, inflation is driving up the cost of all the supplies and services. So within all the different departments, we're seeing a substantial increase in supplies and services. And then as we open new facilities, there's an increase in operational and personnel costs. And then in fund balance, we're starting to see a decline in fund balance in fiscal year 2024, projecting a shortfall of 4,035,400. And what we're seeing is that our expenditures are going more rapidly than our revenues are. And then capital. So in fiscal year 2024, the 3.381,714 capital equipment that was requested compared to 758,999 capital equipment that was budgeted. So at this point, capital needs continue to be underfunded with only the most urgent being funded. And that's it. Any questions?
All right, a lot of
That's a lot.
information to process. This is a discussion item. This is a workshop. We're viewing this, so this is an opportunity to ask any questions if you have any.
You want to go first on us?
No, please. I do have comments, but please, good, start us off.
Mrs. Chaparro, can you go back to the fire department requests? So I think the fire department probably listed everything that they wanted, to see what would stick. Okay, but my question is, so how did you determine, was this in consultation with the fire chief to determine which ones of these would be recommended?
So the process is we first meet, like I will meet with the department head and then their supervisors, managers, and they give us a listing based on their priorities. So
Their priorities,
they
okay.
base it like they'll list it based on priority pretty much.
Okay, so the way they're listed here is the priority listing or?
Yes.
Okay.
And then once I meet with all the departments, then I will meet with the city manager, and then within the city manager and I would discuss, and I give him a copy of everything that was submitted by that department, and we discussed based on like the backup that they gave us and the urgency and different factors, what was most urgent and then feasible, and that's how we based our recommendations.
And so I'm assuming that it was the same process that you went through with each department as they were requesting items or equipment and so on, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Uh-huh.
All right.
And that was my feedback as well. One thing is to have itemized, right, the listing and then place them in order, but I still wanted to make sure our departments, at least our department heads, had the opportunity to come back, look at it, and if they had to reorganize or reshuffle based on their priorities, that there was that opportunity for that dialogue.
There wasn't, because once I meet with them and then they give me all the information, and then they give me their list and everything, and then I meet with the city manager, and that's the final recommendation.
So are the department heads seeing this for the first time, just as we are? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I would like for this to go back to the department heads, at least to have the opportunity to take a look at it again. And that would be one of my recommendations, but I'll go ahead and
You
yield
go
the
back to
floor to.
personnel.
In any department
Please.
specific or?
So the
This one right here?
recommendation was for a civilian supervisor for the police department. What are the benefits of having that position filled as opposed to having a sworn officer?
When I met with the chief of police, he said that if he were to pick one of all those 5 positions or 6, that was his priority. That was his number one. I don't know if he wants to speak on that.
Yeah, he's ready.
Good evening, Honorable Council. So just a point of clarification, the request up here, the police commander position and the 3 police officers are actually frozen positions that we've asked that the police positions be unfunded, the police officer position. They're not new to the budget, they're just something that has been frozen in the past. The commander position, we're very comfortable with leaving that frozen. We still have one on the books that we have yet to fill, and we're working hand in hand with HR to get that done. The lieutenant position would be a 3rd lieutenant position for administration purposes, and that was discussed in our presentation at council when Chief Johnson was here in his last year. In terms of the civilian supervisor, the importance for that is we currently have sergeants that we're having to retask to oversee things and manage projects versus personnel. And specifically, we're having them to oversee, or having a particular sergeant oversee quartermaster duties, which is all of your gear for the new police officers coming on, keep track of all the inventory for radios, vehicles, the purchasing of vehicles, the acquiring of safety gear and things of that nature. Additionally, we have other non-police related functions such as animal control and other issues where we believe a civilian supervisor would be more productive than a sworn officer or sworn supervisor, because again, we're using a sergeant, pulling them out of a supervisory role within the community and having them handle these tasks which have been collateral duties in the past. Unfortunately, when we've divided these up collaterally amongst the other sergeants, we've seen a decrease in supervision in the field, and that's caused some concerns, and that's one of the reasons why we came back is we did and ask for the 2 lieutenants positions last year to be able to provide some oversight, coaching, and mentoring in the field for our people, and it goes for the supervisory role at the civilian level versus a sergeant. I hope that answers that.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Chief.
All right, council members. Anyone else at this time would like to ask any questions?
You know, Madam Mayor, if I may, as you mentioned earlier, this is a lot of information to take in. I could probably, raise one little detail here and there, but I think what would be more beneficial is just kind of highlight my overall general sentiments of the general fund. I think the presentation started with about 70-something% of the general fund being on salaries
Last fiscal year, it was 77%.
last fiscal year. And what would it be projected for this next fiscal year?
78.
What is the industry normal? What would you say your training has taught you to see as being a average percentage of salaries towards the general fund?
Honestly, it's always been the 75, 76, 77 range. It's always been in the 70s. So it's still within a good, acceptable range. It's not where it's just, my only concern is that it's increasing versus like going down.
But that's for us, right? Like your answer is that this is normal in recent times for the city of El Centro specifically. I don't know where I got this from. It might have been one of my colleagues that went to a conference that was exposed to other municipalities, and that it's somewhere in the 60% range for it to be normal. I believe there's a consultant that would say anything above like 70%, you got to be careful, right? Where I'm getting at is I in no way, shape, or form am questioning whether or not our staff is worth it. I'm looking into what's within our authority and what's not within our authority. And what's not within our authority to just at the flip of a switch is raise the sales tax, because that's the largest contributor to our general fund. We can't also, with the flip of a switch, raise TOT or property tax. And so in the short time that I've been up here, certainly I'm looking at that number and I'm wanting to be mindful of like the future and what that means, because we're generally capped in terms of what we're able to generate and what we're able to pay and what we're able to give, right? So I wish we could just tack on another Measure P 2.0, right? The general public may or may not go for it. And we certainly want to be able to give our staff the salary that they deserve for the work that they do and for the time that they've been here, right? We want to say thank you. And we also want to be able to give services to the general public. But that's something to be concerned about, because we're going from $22 million surplus to $7 million.
Well, uncommitted or unreserved, I
Right.
believe it was 17 million, and then 7 million, I think they're undesignated. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
7 million designated.
So just kind of talking about where we're at and wanting to make sure, I think one of the platforms or one of the principles that I've always wanted to do is relieve as much tension to the general fund as possible. And as I'm looking at some of the requests and some of the things, the first thing that comes to my mind is Measure P and ARPA, since we have it right now. I know that some of my colleagues have expressed reservations about utilizing Measure P for certain purposes. And so I'm looking at like computers, software, that kind of stuff, right? And I'm wondering if those things would be eligible to shift them over to Measure P to relieve the general fund a little bit. There's some one-time expenditures for like chairs, for, shelving or whatnot. And I'm wondering, what about ARPA, right? I don't have an exact answer in terms of this is where you carve it out, that's where you carve it out. But to the extent that I get to sit up here and just be able to say in a general theme, right, would be to, when we have to vote on the budget in a couple weeks, I just would like to just express that anything that could be, colleagues,
Yes.
shifted over and still qualify for eligibility, and to the extent that this body is okay with allowing those funds to pay for in order to just kind of have some relief and make sure that we're not scratching too much away at the unreserved balance of the general fund, I generally would support that. And I just wanted to state that out loud.
Sounds good. I know that we have been working with our interim city manager as he is also doing a process walk with all of the departments and taking a look at where there's gaps, where there's needs, and then coming back to us to make recommendations and so forth. And in that discussion would include the allocation or the possibility of reallocating some of those costs if it fits the caveat and the eligibility maybe for ARPA funding. And so I think that would be a good discussion, please, interim city manager, to continue that discussion.
Madam Mayor, so most certainly we can go back to the table to look at these with the department heads. Obviously, this is the first time they got to see the information like you guys did. So it's important that they get a chance to say, to get another look at what is being approved and maybe reshuffle their priorities. So additionally, as we discussed at one point, is the possibility of unfreezing those 3 police officer positions, for example, based on collaboration with school districts and so forth. So there's still the potential to make some changes that'll be beneficial to the community. So more than what we'll do is with Carla is sit down and look at what ARPA allowable expenditures are being requested as far as capital projects is concerned, and maybe shift some of those to that. And then look at the Measure P fund as well to shift those that don't qualify from ARPA to that category if possible.
So the last thing, Madam Mayor, I was going to say that if I remember correctly, and Carla, please correct me, that ARPA needs to be committed by 2024, spent by 2026. So that's a good coupon. It's a good amount of money that I imagine we would need to declare how we're going to commit those funds. And I'm assuming that's going to be in the budget, right? Or does that have to be a separate item?
It's going to be in the overall final budget.
Okay. Great.
And there's about 250,000 left uncommitted for out of ARPA.
Really? That's a lot less than I thought.
There's not a lot left.
I thought we were like at 600, 500.
800.
We probably chipped away at that. It has been. All right.
Right. Any other comments?
I wanted to ask about the reclassification. Could we go back to that slide, please? Is this the first time that they have asked for, or did they ask for reclassification? They submitted a letter?
It depends. Like for example, that custodian 1 to custodian 2, that's a recurring request. I've seen it, I want to say maybe in 3 past fiscal years. The records clerk 1 to records clerk 2, that's the first time. Staff assistant to executive assistant, I believe this is the second time that they request that. Adult center coordinator, I think is the first time.
Okay. Thank you. That's good information to know, because then that gives us a little leverage of where we should move with this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Carla, thank you. I know that it takes a lot of work to put this together, and we get to just see the snippets, right? We get to see the PowerPoint, but all the work that your department has done to make sure that they are able to be diligent, share that information with us and with the public. And I just want to commend your department for the great work that's before us. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Moving us on to item 11, discussion and any necessary action regarding a professional services agreement with KTUA for the Imperial Avenue Complete Streets Plan project. Hello, Mr. Hernandez. How are you?
I'm doing very good, thank you.
Great.
Okay, so this is the project that represents a 44% increase in the planning division's project. Budget for next year. We did get a grant for that though. So the item before you is a request to authorize the city to enter into a professional services agreement with KTUA to prepare the Imperial Avenue Complete Streets Plan. I think last time this item was brought before you formally was back in June of last year, where we gave you we request a resolution to authorize the city to enter the grant agreement with Caltrans, and also dedicate some money from Measure P for the local match. So in a nutshell, the plan is to provide a conceptual design plan for Imperial Avenue between Adams Avenue and the northern city limits. So this is it's a planning project, but also has a lot of preliminary engineering components. There's going to be an extensive community engagement program, and we're going to be working with other public agencies like the local transit operators and Caltrans. And the overall goal of this plan is to provide a competitive grant application for actual construction funds whenever the plan is complete. So the project cost, this is based on the grant that we received, the proposals that we received is $291,000. About that is going to be funded from the grant, and the remaining portion of $37,864. That's the required local match, and that's was within the allocation from Measure P that was requested and was given last year. So overall, the contract with KTUA is going to cost $329,050. So this chart provides a summary of the RFP process that we conducted and also next steps. So today we're requesting that the City Council authorize the agreement, and then we would start work next month. The next kind of normal milestone is we estimate by January of 2024, we provide a public review of the conceptual design. That's something nice, pretty pictures and layout plans to share with the community, so we can start the discussion if we need to make any changes. And the overall end of the project would be in February of 2025 when we take the complete plan for approval by City Council. So about the firm that was selected, the firm that was selected KTUA, they've previously prepared the City of Centro Active Transportation Plan and Safe Routes School Plan in 2019, and they also worked with ICTC in the Imperial County Active Transportation Plan, which was adopted in 2021. So with that, staff recommends that the City Council move forward in approving the agreement, and by taking the following action. There's a resolution before you. I'm available to answer any questions regarding this project. Thank you.
Thank you. This time, colleagues, do we have any questions for Mr. Hernandez? No questions? I'll entertain a motion. Thank you. Motion was made by Councilmember Edgar Garcia, seconded by Councilmember Tomas Oliva. Please vote. Thank you. Item passes 5-0. Item number 12, approval of Code Enforcement Officer Safety Policy. Mr. Angel Hernandez.
So I'm before you is the approval of the safety policy that we've completed for the Code Enforcement Officer. And this is a result of Senate Bill 296, which was required that cities and counties that employ code enforcement officers develop safety standards. We worked with a model standard that was prepared by the Joint Powers Assurance Authority, JPIA, and in collaboration with KCO, that's the California Code Enforcement Officer Professional Organization. So they developed these model standards, and the intention was that they provide those to their member agencies, and that they make any modifications as needed. Some notable modifications that we made just to for local right, for local standards is notification of supervisors in before a code enforcement officer believes that they're going to be in a potentially dangerous situation. The use of the radio for I think critical messaging, and also we also provide a list of required safety equipment, uniform and radio being the minimum standards. So with that, staff recommends that the City Council move forward by taking the following action by approving the resolution adopting the safety standards policy for code enforcement officers. And I could answer any questions you have me regarding this.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Colleagues, any questions at this time? No. At this time, I'll entertain a motion. Thank you. Motion was made by Councilmember Sonia Carter, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Sylvia Marroquin. Please vote. Thank you. Item passes 5-0. All right. Moving on to item 13, award of construction management services for the police station project.
Madam Mayor, the department and the potential contractor and I would like to ask that you continue this until the next meeting. We have a few more changes to make to the agreement to address certain provisions of the indemnification.
Great. So this item will be continued and
Yes,
brought
ma'am.
forward for the next,
On the 20th.
on the 20th. All right. Item 14, the discussion and any necessary action regarding the appointments to the Personnel Appeals Board for the 2 vacancies. So at this point, we have 2 positions. The 2 individuals that have that position now is Ms. Sedelia Sanders and Mr. Michael Minix. They're asking to be reappointed. There is a 3rd individual who submitted an application back in 2016. Discussion took place with Ms. Sedelia Sanders and Mr. Michael Minix, and they have both asked if they could be reappointed. And at this time, I'd like to recommend that they are reappointed to our Personnel Appeals Board for the 2 vacant positions. I'll entertain a motion. Thank you. Mover of this item was Councilmember Sonia Carter, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Ms. Sylvia Marroquin. Please vote. Thank you, colleagues. That item passes 5-0. All right. Item number 15, just to share with you, colleagues, that July the 4th falls on our regular city council meeting. I care for you all dearly, but I don't think we want to come in during our 4th of July unless someone's going to be barbecuing here outside on the patio. So at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to cancel our July 4th city council meeting. Thank you. The mover is Councilmember Edgar Garcia, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Ms. Sylvia. Please vote. Great. Item passes 5-0. All right. At this time, under legislative action, in your packet is item number 16. And what I'd like to propose, colleagues, is the formation of a legislative matters standing committee. I think as a city council, we often discuss pending legislation as recommended by Cal Cities and other public agencies, and have asked for support or to oppose legislation as well. The city is in the process of evaluating the selection of a lobbyist. However, I would like to recommend the formation of a legislative matters standing committee. And this is, of course, approved through our city and norms procedure. The purpose of this committee would be to review pending and adopted state and federal legislation, to coordinate with Cal Cities and other entities, and recommend legislative positions and actions to the city council. The committee also could review any lobbyist RFPs or responses to it. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and open it up for discussion. And I know that I wanted to share with you, I would like to see about appointing a chair and a co-chair. And at this time, I know that there has been interest both from Councilmember Edgar Garcia and also interest from Councilmember Tomas Olivas. any other city council member that is interested in serving on this committee? And if not, I'll entertain a motion to the formation of this committee and the chair and the co-chair being Councilmember Edgar Garcia and Councilmember Tomas Oliva. All right, so I need a motion if you agree with that. Thank you, colleagues. That item passes 5-0. All right, Mr. Cedric Susena, if you'll please address items 17 and 18 for us, please.
Yes, Madam Mayor. So the two items that are next are coming to you for ratification. Both of them are letters of support that came through our office. The first one is for the Imperial Irrigation District in association with the Coachella Valley Association of Governments. They submitted a grant application to the United States Forest Service for planting trees. And this is a fund cycle of 5 years for 16,500 trees that would be planted in economically disadvantaged communities, areas that could use more representation as far as demographics with the environment, social and economically identified needs. Pretty much the request came in very close to the deadline of the submission of the grant application. Therefore, the request was made that the city manager sign the letter and then it'll be presented to you for ratification at this meeting.
All right. All right. Thank you. At this time, I'll go ahead and take a motion. Motion made by Councilmember Edgar Garcia, seconded by Councilmember Tomas Oliva. Please vote. Thank you. Item, a letter of support passes 5-0. Thank you. That action item.
Nobody wanted to vote against trees?
We voted against a barbecue.
So the second letter of support, Madam Mayor, is in support of AB 1657, the Affordable Housing Bond Act of 2024. In December of 2022, Cal Cities called on the legislation and the governor to include $3 billion in annual investment in the 23-24 state budget. Unfortunately, the request did not get honored. As a matter of fact, the plan to include additional funding for prevention and reduction of homelessness and to spur the development of affordable housing came in even shorter than it was originally anticipated. There's a proposed reduction of $712.5 million in the budget. So this would delay essential funding. Likewise, as the previous letter, this letter came in with a short turnaround notice. As discussed with you and with your approval, I signed the letter of support for this particular bill, and it was submitted on time on June 1st to the staff that was working on this particular item at Cal Cities and the legislation. So it's presented for your approval or ratification, I should say, at this time.
Wonderful. All right, at this time, we'd entertain a motion. Motion made by Councilmember Sonia Carter, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Sylvia Marroquin. Please vote. All right. Item passes 5-0. Excellent. At this time, colleagues, it will move us on to task force reports. Who would like to go first?
I can go first, Madam
Wonderful.
Mayor. The mayor and I attended the Asian American event by Social Justice at the library. Very nice event, and we did get to see a lot of performances that they did mention that you will be able to see when Juneteenth comes around. So that's going to be awesome. And I also attended the Stop the Hate March with the LGBT at the mall. And it was very nice to see a lot of people that came out and did march with them and did express their concern about different types of hate. And it was a very good thing to see the community involved. And then I went to go meet the community center summer employees. Great group of kids. We got to play some phenomenal, guess the song, name the song, and are from the Aqua Center. What is her name? Sorry.
Rebecca?
Rebecca.
Yes.
She beat everybody. She is so awesome at it. She knew every song that it was actually to know. She knew everything. So, and we were on our team. So she was on our team. So we won and it was fun. It was fun. We had a good time. And then we attended the Woman Haven's 45th anniversary. Who attended? Madam Mayor and Council Member Olivias. We attended that. And then the Memorial Day, all of our colleagues were there at the Buckland Park. Very nice event as well. And then we had our hospital board meeting. And that concludes my
Wonderful.
events. Thank
Excellent.
you.
All right. Yes. So I'm going to try to keep mine as brief as possible, Madam Mayor, but I want to give a quick shout out to the Public Works Department. They had a Public Works open house on the 23rd of May. I have to highlight the fact that there were a few school children that decided to take a field trip, right? There was some organization there with some schools, and so our youth was able to come out and learn a little bit about what Public Works Department in general does and what you all do for our community. And I thought that was nice. The pictures that you all posted on social media were very nice. And so I'm glad that the children were able to enjoy that. It's probably the nicest, funnest thing that I've attended in the last couple of weeks, because then you have somber events such as Memorial Day, right? And recognizing the fact that there are folks that are no longer with us, right? Because they have been they've been sacrificed for our freedom. And so for a lot of families, it's a very difficult day. For a lot of folks, it's a difficult day. And I want to just convey, I think, for what Thomas Henderson said that day, which is there's a lot of folks that are barbecuing right now. There's a lot of folks that see Memorial Day weekend as a 3-day weekend and go on vacation. But for everyone that was at that event, it was different. And their radar was in tune for what exactly that day was. And so I just want to very quickly just acknowledge for those families and those friends that have lost someone, we still remember, and as long as you say their name, we can still remember our veterans that have come and gone. As far as the hospital colleagues, as you know, we had our hospital board meeting. We had some very serious discussions, but every 2 weeks, some of us are briefed by Assemblymember Garcia's staff. We also meet with UC San Diego. And so just to kind of give a general report to the public and to you all colleagues, that AB 918, which is the legislation that would create the single healthcare district, has passed out of the policy committee, has passed out of the fiscal committee, has passed out of the assembly floor, all unanimous with no vote. That is amazing. That is something that I didn't even think was going to happen when we ventured out in terms of this bill. So it is now in the Senate, the state Senate, and it has been referred to the Government and Finance Committee. I just checked during this meeting, it hasn't been assigned a hearing date just yet. That may change tomorrow, that may change later this week or next week, but just know that Councilmember Garcia and I are watching that very closely. Should we need to go up again to testify in policy committee? And with that conversation came, right, legislatively, the Distressed Hospital Program, which is another program that the state of California has done with urgency and that the governor has signed. It's $150 million for distressed hospitals. And so this program was signed into law, made available. It's being rushed through in terms of determining the eligibility requirements, the needs assessments and whatnot. But I bring it up to reassure you all that we are very much on top of that program, and we are itemizing and identifying how a piece of that amount could help ECRMC in the region, right, collectively. And so we do plan on submitting an application for some of that funding in order to help out the situation and some of the infrastructure needs of the hospital. I think I'll defer to Mr. Garcia when he gives his presentation on anything you'd like to add to that. But we continue soldiering on in terms of AB 918. Heffernan Memorial Healthcare District has formally supported the bill. We have as well. And so we hope that other entities as well could be supportive and or weigh in and let us know what are your concerns are or what you would like to see, because certainly this is not being done in a vacuum. This is out in the most open scene as possible, meaning it is being scrutinized by every eye in the state of California, and that is the legislative process. So should you want to speak up, please do so. Now that it's in the Senate, because the closer we get to the final, to the finish line, it becomes harder and harder to change. So with that, Madam Mayor and colleagues, I yield back.
Councilmember Garcia.
Well, we've been working diligently with our hospital meetings. There's been a lot of issues that have been coming up that we're very happy to report, as my colleague, Councilmember Oliva, stated, that AB 918 has passed through the Assembly floor unanimously. That is very, very good news for the goal of creating a singular hospital district for everyone in this county. It now goes to the Senate, and we will be keeping an eye on it when we need to go for any policy hearings, things of that nature. But there's also the distressed hospital loan fund that was passed by the governor in record time, by the way, recognizing the needs that hospitals across the state, they're suffering right now because of the current economic conditions that have been exacerbated by COVID. But we find ourselves with some light at the end of the tunnel because of this distressed loan fund. And it would have a direct impact on not only ECRMC, but also potentially on the new hospital district that will be formed. But we did cover our seismic retrofits, which is something that I did want to report to the public, is that ECRMC currently is 92% compliant in terms of its seismic retrofits for its infrastructure. So we have 8% left of work to be done, and we're currently in the process of analyzing how to secure that funding in order to complete that as soon as possible. So we will be the only hospital in Imperial County that is seismically retrofit and compliant with California standards to house patients in an acute care capacity. So that's something that's very important to us, to make sure that that gets complete so we can keep providing the service and, of course, be compliant and safe for all of the patients that come under the roof of El Centro Regional Medical Center. So that with the distress loan fund, that we've been getting some good news with the passage of AB 918 through the Assembly floor. It seems that we're building momentum, and we're going to keep working diligently to take advantage of this momentum and make sure that we realize these goals that we set out November of last year, when all of this kind of came to a head. So we're finally starting to see the fruits of all of those meetings and all of those workshops that we've had and all those discussions with all of our stakeholders. And we'd also like to thank, of course, all of the assistance that we've received from Assemblyman Eduardo Garcia and our State Senator Padilla, with the guidance and the work that's been done by their offices in supporting us in realizing this dream, because we're all on the same page that this is a good action, this is a good move, but it's also a necessary action, necessary move in order to secure our healthcare going into the future. Moving on from there, I did have the wonderful opportunity to attend our Memorial Day event. Like Mr. Oliva said, it's a somber event. Everybody there is remembering people that they have lost. And it's very important to remember what the purpose of that day is. And it's not just a day off. It's not just a day to enjoy with family and to barbecue, but there's a reason why we have that day. And that's to honor the people that have given the ultimate sacrifice in the service of this nation. And Mr. Henderson did a wonderful job, as he always does, with his colleagues. They were all there, and they, of course, understand the true price that was paid in order to have that day. So I bring that up not only because it was a great event to attend, but also today, June 6th, is also historically significant for our veterans, it being the remembrance of D-Day. So that is a seminal day in the history of our country, and it shaped the political atmosphere of the world. So that's something that I definitely like to mention, that we acknowledge that day as the best and the brightest of our country answered the call to service and had profound impact on the way the world is today on June 6th, so many years ago. So other than that, we participated with Mayor Cardenas Singh in the 2-on-2 meeting with President Alex Cardenas, my former colleague from this council, as well as IID Director JB Hamby. We had some very good discussions regarding current issues that IID is facing, and it was a very good discussion in terms of a collaboration on how we can help each other deal with issues that affect our constituents here within the city of El Centro. So that was the first meeting, and I look forward to many more in order for us to continue working collaboratively with our stakeholders and with the elected officials in different capacities in order to provide the best service that we can to our constituents here in the city of El Centro. Thank you.
Wow.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, let's see. Since our last meeting, on the same day, we had the Community Enhancement Task Force meeting and the Downtown Ad Hoc Committee meeting, but I'll let our mayor elaborate a little bit more on that. And, you know, in terms of our work with the situation with the hospital and AB 918, so we have also been doing some outreach to our colleagues and other cities around the valley. And so the mayor and I have been meeting 2-on-2 with the mayors and the mayor pro tems from other cities. And so we started with Calexico the week before last, and then we'll be moving on slowly but surely to the rest of the cities around the county. The mayor also invited me to present with her at the Kiwanis Club meeting a week before last. And so I'll let her elaborate a little bit more on that. But, you know, we gave them an update on what's going on around the city and all of the efforts that are going into all of the, I guess, the revival and the revitalization of the downtown area. Let's see, also attended the Parks and Recs pre-summer luau to kick off all of their summer activities. That was a lot of fun. I have to say that I really enjoyed that. We also had, aside from our council meetings, of course, you know, we also have our ECRMC board meetings. And then we also had the Cal Cities Division meeting week before last as well. And I also attended the ribbon cutting for the New River Improvement Project that was held on the bank of the New River in Calexico. So it was impressive, the funding that Assemblymember Garcia and other legislators have succeeded in obtaining in order to move forward with that project. And there were so many people there to show their appreciation to all of those that were involved, but especially to Assemblymember Garcia. So later at a reception that evening, I had a chance to talk one-on-one and also with our interim city manager, with Cedric. We had a chance to talk to Assemblymember Garcia about healthcare. So here in the county, was also at the Memorial Day celebration. And last Wednesday, you know, one of the other committees that I chair is the Task Force to End Homelessness. So, you know that the Catholic Charities has now opened, they did a soft opening of their day center back in February. But last Wednesday, they had their welcome reception and open house. So, my gosh, they really filled the room, and that was an opportunity for us to see the kitchen there and the facility in which they serve the unsheltered individuals here in town. And so our mayor was traveling back from San Diego, so I spoke on behalf of the city and my colleagues on the council. But at that moment, I also announced that we have now the funding to begin the Street to Work program. And so we will be meeting soon with Bino Perno, who's the Director of Catholic Charities in San Diego, to work out all of the details in terms of how we're going to launch the program. And so I'm really looking forward to that as well. Let's see. You know, and I too have been participating in the biweekly AB 918 meetings that are hosted by Assemblymember Garcia's office and Caitlin Schell, who's the lobbyist for UCSD. And so they have been instrumental in keeping us up to date and informed on the progress of the bill. And so, you know, we just to let you and the community know that we are on top of that, because this is critical to our community. Okay, so I think that, oh, and last Saturday, the mayor and I attended the Kiwanis Club's Kentucky Derby at the Aquatic Center. That was a lot of fun.
Great job.
And I'll let the mayor elaborate a little bit more on that. Okay, so, and of course, you know, as Gus, you know, he's always there to lend a helping hand. He was there to lend a Kiwanis Club a helping hand with all of the sound system. So thanks, Gus.
All right, excellent work. Just to reduce any duplication, I'll just highlight some of the activities and projects that are being worked on that have not been mentioned. On May the 18th, both Chief Sawyer, interim city manager, and myself received a beautiful frame picture of the Blue Angels that was presented to us by the naval skipper. I call him the commander. And so we had that wonderful opportunity that we received that beautiful picture, and I believe it's in the process of being hung in our city manager's office. In addition to that, again, our League of California Cities, our Imperial County Division took place here at the fairgrounds, and it was hosted by the city of Imperial, and we appreciate them for providing us that meeting in that venue. As far as a commitment that we have made as a council is just that. We are meeting with mayor and the mayor pro tems of all the cities to really just talk about the progress, the collaboration, and also the discussion of healthcare here in the Imperial Valley and where we're going. I had the opportunity to meet with Board of Supervisors Luis Blancarte, the mayor and the mayor pro tem for the city of Calexico. Unfortunately, we had to reschedule the meeting with Calapat mayor and mayor pro tem because of the ribbon cutting ceremony that we had to participate and for the Catholic Charities Day Center, but that's in the process of being rescheduled. And this Thursday, we'll have the opportunity to meet with Heber Public Utility Authority to have our 2-on-2 to continue the discussions about healthcare here in the Imperial Valley, and also taking advantage of the opportunity of having our 2-on-2 with the IID president and vice president to also talk about healthcare. So we just want to make sure that we're sharing that information with all entities. And this is the opportunity that I really want to highlight. Ms. Bedoya, I want to congratulate your department. In a short span of time, I want to say within 6 weeks, the opportunity to hire 50 summer employees to provide the great work for the summer programs. And we were discussing that today, right? Whether it's part-time, whether it's full-time or temporary, the paperwork and the time to process the employees is the same. So I want to commend your department for the great work. We appreciate and understand the importance of making sure we're fully staffed for summer and that we're able to provide those summer opportunities. So please, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank you on behalf of our council on the great work that is being done in your department. Okay, Kentucky was great. It was fun. Thank you, Gus, for all the great work on Saturday, and for Miss Rebecca as well, Miss Rebecca Korfman, for the great work that she provides there at the Aquatic Center. The overall goal is that we receive a donation in the amount of over $3,000 that goes back into the opportunity to provide swimming scholarships that allow individuals who may have financial hardship and cannot pay for swim lessons. We understand swim lessons is a life-saving skill, and so we're glad to have that partnership with Kiwanis that sponsors that through their donation. So we want to thank them for that. At this point, I think that is all that I'm going to report on. I'll go ahead and, if I will, I'll go ahead and hand it over to our interim city manager for city report, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you. So I attended very similar meetings you guys did, so I won't repeat those, but I will highlight a couple of those. I did attend the Community Health Assessment and Health Improvement Plan stakeholder group that was held at El Centro Medical Center. A lot of great information, truly a good place to share the information where we can see what the shortcomings of our community are in relation to healthcare needs. I'll be sharing a lot of that information with our department heads because it's a lot of good data. Also, I would like to highlight this pre-summer luau that was done at Recreation. I mean, that was an amazing turnout for all the people that are being hired and, you know, all the members of staff that work for Recreation for this summer coming up. Additionally, for those of us that were on the phone call, we had the closing call for the bonds for the police station on the 23rd or 24th, somewhere around there. It was very surreal. It was almost like I was calling in an order for, I don't know, food or something. It was very matter of fact. The only question I had coming out of that is I wonder how much the guy that handled the transaction gets paid. It was like calling a call center and somebody's helping you with your transaction, but it was $40 million worth. So very interesting process.
Very James Bond. I would say.
Exactly. The voice of the gentleman that helped us actually was very James Bondish in nature. That was very short. And, you know, it happened just too quickly. I don't know that we realized how much had happened in those seconds that when the transaction happened. I did also attend the Public Works open house. I thought that was a great turnout for the children that were present. I was a little bit late, but I did get to see a lot of their presentation. Abraham did me a favor and walked me around so that I could see what they had showcased. I also had the chance to attend the new interim or acting city managers roundtable with Cal Cities. That was a lot of good information. And it really made me realize that we're not very different than a lot of the cities out there. We all are having exactly the same struggles, no matter if you're a small city in Northern California or a large city in Southern California. It doesn't matter. We're affected the same way. I also had the opportunity to attend an EMS week celebration with a partner agency, GMR Reach. They held a celebration for their staff. And we also had a swearing ceremony for a police records clerk as well as a police officer recruit. And ultimately, I also wanted to highlight the human resources, right, the staff there, to include Dulce, Martha, Lindsay, and Diana for all the hard work that they've been doing. It was 57 employees that they actually processed during the time. And that's just the summer employees, because there were also several others that got hired full-time or part-time with the city. So that's not the total number of employees that actually were brought on. However, just when we focus on the summer programs and the ability for the city to carry those programs and provide quality programs for the children of the community, they did a heck of a job with it. So thank you guys for your hard work. I hope I didn't miss anybody in HR, right? No. Good. Thank you. And thanks to all the staff. Everybody's has been doing a great job with everything that has been going on. As far as city services is concerned, I'm always walk away very proud at the end of the day, realizing how much work is done, whether it's, here at City Hall or at a offsite location, or even if we're attending a hospital board meeting. You know, it's always, you know, the type of work and the you dive into it without really concern about, you know, the timelines or the, you know, the day. And sometimes you have to get the work done, and people don't leave until the work is done. From the department heads to our council, you know, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
All right. With that, if there is no other item, I'd like to adjourn our meeting. Go home to your families.